So what if you really needed to have a dog who could inherit from two different classes, both animal and maybe other animals, um, or maybe animal and pet, for instance, because a dog could be an animal and could be a pet. Well, I mean, a dog is an animal and could be a pet. So you cannot do that with this idea of abstract classes. So let's go ahead and get rid of all of this. And I'm going to leave the dog there for now. And for right now, my code is going to be broken, but that's okay. So let's go ahead and create what's known as an interface. And so this is an interface. And the interface, you'll notice that it begins with a capital I. That's a naming convention that interfaces should begin with a capital I so people know that they are interfaces. And so an interface will have very similar to what you have in an abstract class, void speak, for instance. And I'm going to leave that there for now. And let's go ahead and inherit this. And we can get rid of this override. So this is an interface. And an interface is much like an abstract class. This is a contract. So the contract states, if you are going to be using this interface, you must implement this method. So it's the same as this being an abstract class and this being an abstract method. You have to implement it. Now, because this is a you must implement it, and notice that you don't have to give an access argument there, so you don't have to say public or private or anything like that. You do not have to indicate that this is an overridden method. You just have to say that this is a method inside of our class here. We have to implement speak from our interface iAnimal. So now if I run this, we'll get out dog goes bark to the console. If we happen to add another method here, void eat, for instance, because all animals eat and speak, notice that now interface method or interface member is not implemented. Well, because we are inheriting this method here, we have to also implement the eat method. So to do that, public void eat console.writeLine dog eats. And so now, if I can spell public correctly, now if we run this and I uncomment that, we'll get both of these printing out. So you might be wondering, why do we do this? What is the point of having these interfaces? I mean, it's a contract, means I have to implement it, but this allows us to add in multiple interfaces. So let's say we have an interface, and let's go ahead and say we have a pet. And this pet has a method that if a animal is a pet, or if something is a pet, void call owner. They must have a call owner method. So now if a dog is an animal and a dog is a pet, a dog must, since it is a pet, must have a public void call owner method. And now this call owner method does not take any parameters, string name, because that is a different method than what we have up there. If you want that owner to always have a name, string name, you would add that there, and then it can be implemented. So now the owner can know who, or well, whoever finds the dog can call the dog's owner. Console.writeLine calling name. And so now if we use this method, novo.callOwner, Jeremy. And so now when we run this, we are going to see dog goes bark, dog eats, calling Jeremy. So you can have any number of interfaces that you implement on your derived class, but all of those interfaces, anything which is in there, you must implement it in your actual class. So notice that we are implementing speak, we are implementing eat, and implementing call owner, all inside of our derived class dog, because we have both animal and pet. And again, these are all separated by a comma. You can add more classes there. You can also have a base class, public, abstract, and I will just, let's say, class, I'll just do animal 2, and public, abstract, void, different, speak. We can have a base class. Let's see, what was this? This was animal 2. We can have a base class. Now we have to implement this right here. And it's not an abstract, it's an override. And didn't mean to put square brackets there. Curly braces. So you can have one base class, and then you can implement several interfaces. This base class does have to come first, and the interfaces come second. So notice that this is saying animal 2 interface name expected. So your one base class that you are inheriting from has to go first, and then you can have a comma separated list of all of the interfaces that you are going to be implementing.